Hey there, it's Lynn Horde here, the Joy Coach, founder of Joy School and creator of the blog Insider Tips to Everyday Joy. I've been really looking into anxiety recently and the anxiety that I can feel, sometimes on a daily basis. And I know it's something that my clients experience a lot and people that I work with on Joy School. It's kind of something that a lot of people feel on a daily basis, and it's just kind of like an undercurrent that runs through our lives and we don't necessarily have a look at it. So I've been thinking a lot about it lately, and I wanted to come on and share with you my little process that I've developed to work with my anxiety. The reason I've been wanting to take a deeper look into it is because anxiety is a real barrier to joy. I'm sure anyone who's watching has experienced anxiety. So when you're flooded with anxiety, there's no way that you're going to be feeling joyful. Like extreme anxiety for me is like when I feel flooded, it's like there's adrenaline running through my veins, and I'm like this, and I just can't calm down. So it's really, so when you have the emotion, of course, there's no chance that you can feel joy. Well, not in my experience anyway. But there's something even deeper there going on, actually, because what I've discovered through looking at my own anxiety levels is that for a long time I've actually pretended that I didn't have the anxiety. Maybe you can relate to that yourself. So I have spent a lot of my life what I call managing my anxiety so that other people don't realize I'm anxious, and the point of that is, of course, I then am presenting to the world that I am perfectly okay, I can cope with anything, and that I'm like Teflon, everything just kind of slides off me. But that's not true. And the reason that it's really important to recognize this is because when you're pretending that you're okay, when you're actually filled with anxiety, it's inauthentic. And inauthenticity is a barrier to joy, because we're pretending we're something that we're not, and we're putting that energy into kind of wearing a mask, that you might like to call it. So they're the two reasons. When you're experiencing the anxiety, it's very difficult to feel joy, but also when we're pretending that we're okay, that's a problem, because inauthenticity is a barrier to joy. So delving a bit deeper into this is kind of what I do to no longer manage my anxiety, but actually to try and release it. So the first step is actually to acknowledge to yourself that you are feeling anxiety. So that's something that I'm still working on, because now I feel that I've got much deeper into my body these days, so I actually feel the anxiety much more now when it's present. So I can actually say to myself now, and I've been working on it, going, actually, Lynn, you know what? You're feeling a little bit anxious today. So that's the first step. Acknowledge that you are feeling anxiety. The second one is, particularly if the anxiety is quite bad, or quite high, is actually to calm yourself down. So as you know, and I've talked about it before, when our emotions are high and we're flooded with all those emotions, we can't think straight. And anxiety can be one of those emotions where you're just like, oh, your logical brain just kind of goes out the window. So you want to calm yourself down. And one of the tools I use for that, which is fantastic, is something called 4-7-8 breathing. I'll put a link below this post so that you can have a little look at it further, but it's fantastic. Essentially, it is you breathe in through your nostrils for four breaths. You hold the breath for 7 counts. Sorry, you breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 7 counts, and breathe out slowly through the mouth for 8 counts. But I'll put a link below. And if you do 4 rounds of that, it actually will calm the body down, because you're actually controlling your breath, which can control your system, your nervous system. So that's the second step, is actually calm yourself down and reduce the anxiety. And then the third thing to do is actually ask yourself, in whatever the situation is that's causing the anxiety, what am I afraid of? Because that's what anxiety is. We're afraid of a certain outcome. So, and that's what the fear is, the anxiety. We're like, oh my God, what if that happens? Okay. So get in touch with, what is the fear? Are you afraid that, somebody won't like you? Are you afraid that this happens and it will cost you money? Are you afraid, on a deeper level, that you do this and your partner will leave you? So it's kind of really getting in touch with, what is the fear beneath my anxiety? After you've done that, the fourth step is actually ask yourself, is this true? Is this a real and current anxiety? As an example, a couple of weeks ago, I was in a situation, I was kind of leading a group, and I was doing some things, and I could feel the anxiety, and I was really afraid that if something went wrong, I would get blamed for the situation. So on reflection, I couldn't do it at the time because I was kind of in the middle of something, but later on reflection, I actually realized that the anxiety wasn't real in that moment. The people that I had surrounded myself by, none of them would have blamed me if things had gone wrong. So what you need to recognize there is that that anxiety, that fear is actually from the past. It's from some experience you've had earlier in your life, but you've carried it over to this moment. So what you need to then is actually kind of basically have a conversation with yourself. You go, oh, actually, Lynn, you know, that's probably not real. That's not a true fear for you at the moment, because if you look at the people around you, they're all supportive, they're all helpful. None of them have ever blamed you, you know, when something has gone wrong, you know, simple things, you know. So, and in that moment, I was able to go, oh, okay, that's not something I need to be afraid of right now or anymore. It's actually something from the past. So you need to have, it's like you're having a conversation with yourself, to like a reality check. And if it is a real fear, then you probably need to address whatever the circumstances are. So that's the fourth step, is to ask yourself, is the fear real? Then if you want to take it to, so hopefully that will then actually help you calm down as well, because you're using your brain to really have a rational look at the situation. And then the next level, so that's the 4 main steps, so I'll go over those again. So acknowledge the anxiety, especially to yourself. The second step is to do some of the 4-7-8 breathing so that you can calm yourself and your nervous system down. And the third step is to ask yourself, what am I really afraid of here? And the fourth step is actually to discover whether that's a real fear, whether it's really something you need to be afraid of in that moment. So be as objective as you can when answering that one. If you want to take it to the next level, there are 2 more steps you can think about. One of them is actually verbalizing that you are feeling anxiety to somebody else. So this is a development for me as well, because it's part of that perfectionist fear that, you know, I wanted to keep when I was younger. And so I didn't tell anybody when I was feeling anything other than okay. But that's really crippling in terms of your ability to be authentic and vulnerable and have those really intimate relationships. So, you know, it's about being prepared and vulnerable, and allowing yourself to be vulnerable, and also trusting in other people that they can handle it, and that they will accept you for who you are. Because when we are vulnerable, you see, it allows somebody else to be vulnerable. It's like, well, if I'm not trying to be perfect all the time, then, you know, you don't either. So it's a real, you know, from a higher level, it's a real gift to somebody else, but it's actually a real gift to ourselves to go, you know, I'm human, I am flawed, and this is how I'm feeling today. You know, I am feeling anxious out the wazoo, and I'm telling you. And then the final step there is actually, like, if it's possible, ask for help. You know, like I was, when I was leading this group, for instance, that I mentioned earlier, you know, I just had to go, you know what, I don't know where I'm going, can someone help me out here? You know, and that's a simple example, but sometimes it is that, like, just, we need to ask for help, you know, admit we're not okay, we, you know, don't know the answer, and can someone please help us? So that's my kind of little process at the moment that I've been thinking through and working on to kind of help me release my anxiety, not just manage it, to really like live with it and release it much more. So I hope you found this useful and helpful. And if you do know anybody else who does, you know, suffer anxiety, you know, particularly like high levels of anxiety or just day-to-day anxiety, and you think this would be helpful, please do share it around, because I think anxiety is one of those underlying things that everybody experiences quite a lot, but we don't necessarily work with it. So this would be great to share with them so they have some ideas on how they can actually release their own anxiety. Hope you've enjoyed that, and I'll be back again for another Facebook Live. Take care. Bye for now.